every day is so into in spirit. Protect my energy so I won't let you near it. Whole tribe going up, breaking through the ceiling. And when they look at us, they can see the healing. Breaking generational curses. Claim abundance cause I'm deserving. All my haters is getting nervous. We bout to blow.
Afternoon, happy Monday. Welcome to another week. And welcome to the Rad Podcast. I'm loving the fresh shirt. As you know, we deny racism. So if you hear and you racist, you gotta go. Now, matter of fact, stay so we can educate your ass. So nevertheless, I am half of our team. Larry Jefferson, glad to have y'all here today.
Yeah, man, Dantrayl Smith, man, super glad about our episode that we have today, man. And Larry, man, I gotta say, brother, the shirts, phenomenal, man, phenomenal job on the shirts, my dude. And man, I was gladly rocking them, man. I was walking up, man. Arturo saw the shirts. He was like, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get our guests when we have our guests on. We got to start sending them the shirts, man.
I know, man. So that way they can everybody rocking the Rad shirt, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right on. Speaking of our guests, we're happy to have y'all here today. Looking forward to this conversation. We kind of pre-started it, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself. So, Mr. Smith, you want to start off for us?
Oh yeah. How y'all doing today? My name is Dantrayl Smith, and I'm a college student at TCC Trinity River campus.
Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Keys.
My name is Vance Keys. I've been in law enforcement for not just about 21 years now. Here locally in Fort Worth, Texas. So thank y'all for having me.
Yes, sir.
Last but not least, Hector.
I'm Hector Salcedo. I'm a student of TCC's Trinity River campus.
Glad to have y'all.
Yeah. Hey, man, I wanted to say thank you all for being here on such a very important topic. As you all know, last week, to give you a really quick recap, we talked a little bit about police brutality, but more from the stage of the dialogue between our cops of Caucasian descent and bringing in some of our local leaders. Unfortunately, some situation happened to where our cops weren't able to come on the show, but we did have some civic leaders in the community doing some great things that gave us huge insight on ways that we can definitely transform the community. And so if you did not get a chance to check out the last week's episode, make sure you go back and watch it, because that brother, Jonathan, is doing some phenomenal things within the Fort Worth community, man, that I think all of us need to tap into in some way or fashion, man. So make sure y'all check out last week's episode. But today we talking about some real stuff, where we're talking about getting the students' perspective. We're going to talk a little bit about what does it really mean, and what is the perception of our on-campus law enforcement versus our off-campus law enforcement. Is there a difference? Do students see them in the same light as they do off-campus cops? And so if so, what does that really do for our students? And so how do we effect change in that? So yeah, I'm excited about this episode, bro.
Oh yeah, I mean, if y'all ready, shoes, I'm ready.
Let's do it, man.
Get it. So, and I'm gonna say this question starts with Mr. Smith or Hector. When thinking about our police officers, our campus police, what are your initial thoughts of campus police? Hector laughs.
I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, it looked like a rented cop to me. Just to be real. I mean, in my first experience, that's what it seemed like. I didn't take them too serious. It's just I don't know. That's just my perspective. I don't know if it just wasn't intimidating. Just I was in a good place where it didn't seem like a threat to me. But that was my initial response when I first saw campus police.
Okay. I'll come back to you real quick because I got a follow-up question for you. Daniel, what about you, sir?
I feel like they same way they not like they can protect us while we there, but what can they do if something happened to us like off the campus? They not really, like they like rental. Like, what if somebody come up there with like try to harm us and stuff? Like, what can they do? They can't even do anything. Like,
Hey, so
Okay.
when y'all see that perception, man, about like, you know what I'm saying, rental cops, like where does that term like come from, man? Like when you see them, why does your mind directly go to rental cops that fast?
You muted.
I'm sorry. I'll start off with myself saying that they just don't do much. Like I'm just gonna be completely honest. I was telling Vance when we first got on, and like I was having a conversation with Dantrayl, is the times I've been on campus, I've seen them less than a handful of times. If I ain't in the parking garage parking my car and they're riding around on their little cart, I don't see them. If it wasn't when I did my initial introduction to TCC and they came and spoke to a whole class of people, and he used me as an example of that we could carry on campus as long as it was in my backpack. Like, and that was the two interactions other than a head nod walking down Main Street. And those were the interactions I had with them on campus. So they didn't seem like a presence. So I don't treat them as such. They just seem like they were there collecting a paycheck, in my opinion.
Would you have wanted them? I mean, would you want them to be more engaging?
I think especially on that level of like the other guest is saying, I'm sorry, Danya, how do you pronounce your name?
oh, Danye.
Danye. If from the student perspective, if a smile, a head nod, even a hint of that they're approachable, a hint of it, because that's not the case. It's if we're not a disruption, we're invisible. That's how it seems. At least being a male on campus. And that's my piece.
What you got to add to it, Danye?
I agree. I agree with them. Like, they not always, you know what I'm saying? Like, I only see them like every once in a while. Like he said, if you go out, they not always inside the building. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I agree with everything what Hector just said. That's definitely true. You just give them a head nod and that's it. And they speak when you speak it to them, but that's really about it. Like, they don't really make sure everybody's safe on campus, like how they really supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Like how they really supposed to do. They don't really make sure like everybody's safe or everybody, you know what I'm saying, or everybody going where they need to be going. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like they not really doing their job as a school police officer. Come on, I say some of them they check the grounds and stuff like that, but other than that, they don't really do what they supposed to be doing.
Yeah. What about you, Vance? What you think, brother? Like, why do you that perception comes from, man?
Wow, so there's a lot of different things. So as an outsider looking in, I've never worked on a campus. I've always been city police. But from the outside looking in, it seems like not so much as they're rental cops, but you just want to be seen and engaged like anybody else. So I tell street cops, when you're driving around, walking around, wave to people, smile at people, speak to people outside of that enforcement arena, because if you don't, you've already lost the opportunity to have a relationship. Now, I will say this. If you're not seeing them, it doesn't necessarily mean they're not working. And to be honest, if they're not engaging you in a harassing manner, you know, in a profiling manner, that's not a bad problem to have.
Right.
I've talked to several police, and you've got to realize campus cops are just like city cops. Their jurisdiction is just the campus. They have every authority, privilege, right that a city cop has, that a state cop has, that a county cop has. But I do think they could be more engaging because, real quick, and I don't want to go off topic too far, but it's the history of the campus police. They were formed in the 1960s and 1970s when there was civil unrest on the campus. That's how they got birthed, right? And so it's that same kind of a history thing, but I agree. Smile, speak, be engaging, and that could go a long way towards maybe changing the perception that you guys have. Because when I see them, I think police. I think they're assigned to the campus, but they police, they got a gun, they're trained in the penal code, they know use of force. And that's how I see them.
Yeah. Do you all think that campus police are respected? And if so, why not?
I don't think so. I mean, in all honesty, and they don't even come up. Honestly, if there's not a situation that demands their presence, they're not even thought of. In my experience, and you know that's the only perspective I have.
Yeah, I don't think they really respect it. And it's like they don't really, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't really just do what they're supposed to do. I understand like you're a campus police officer, but you know, you gotta make sure that people is safe. You know what I'm saying? You gotta make sure that people is safe at school because believe it or not, school is where people most feel it's a safe place. They don't gotta worry about getting bullied or anything, especially here in college.
All right, so fellas, can I push back a little bit because I love the conversation.
I love the pushback approach.
Oh yeah. Because I love controversy when when it's constructive and it builds dialogue. I think with all the stuff we've seen in cities, the counties, and states, cops shooting people that are unarmed, cops kneeling on people's necks, cops doing all these things that have just put the profession in just the worst light imaginable. Right? It's just cops doing too much. What has happened on the school campus where you felt that the police should have been more engaged, or more enforceful, more intimidating, and they weren't? Because it sounds to me if they had that same approach in the cities and in the counties and at the state level, we wouldn't have all these issues we have right now. You wouldn't have people being shot through their window. You wouldn't have people kneeled on their neck. You wouldn't have folks shot as they're running away. And so I don't know if what you're arguing is really the law enforcement thing or it's just their lack of engagement. But I don't think you can put it on their legitimacy as police officers. I think if they did what they did on college campuses out in the communities, we'd have much more trust building. You'd have less antagonistic behaviors. That's just me pushing back. And again, y'all may see something different.
I'll say this. During my time on a community college, I had a great opportunity to engage with the police. and I'm not going to say they were not respected. I will say people looked at them as, oh man, what are they going to force on us now? What are they going to bring on us now? I say that we can't do now. And then being that it was a large group of African Americans gathered, it was always something. Oh, y'all playing dominoes, y'all too loud. Well, I ain't never played a quiet game of dominoes, oh, y'all doing karaoke. Well, student activity started this karaoke thing, so every time from my experience with campus police, it was always targeted at us as a group to say, hey, y'all are the ones causing the disruption. And I think, from that, some resentment built up for our campus police.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, man. I would think from my perspective and just my dealings with on-campus police officers is I don't think that there's a difference between, in my perception, I don't think there's a difference between on-campus police and off-campus police. I believe men of color, particularly black men, see them as a threat see them as
off top.
an obstacle, no matter where they are. You know what I'm saying? And based upon what you just said, Larry, I've had similar experience where we're putting on an event, or I'm at an event, and 10 to 12 cops show up. But then other cultures put on the just exact same event, and I'll go to that event and I'll be like, man, where are the cops at? like what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So me personally, man, I don't think is a difference in the way we perceive both entities, but I do agree that they both respond to situations differently. And I think that's probably the only difference that I've seen, is that on campus police don't come in firing as their first train thought. But what and Vance, maybe you can kind of touch on this, is this question regarding, why is it that on campus cops don't come at situations open and firing, but off campus cops come with that different perspective? Why is that?
All right, so Dr. Smith, you've got to look at the demographics, right? Anybody you come in contact with when you're a campus police officer, they're going to fit a particular demographic. They're going to be faculty or staff, they're going to be a student, or they're going to be a visitor. You know that off the top. And really, the only group you probably expect to have a problem with would be the visitors. The off-campus that maybe don't belong on campus, maybe they got a beef with somebody. So it's a different mentality. Also, I think campus cops in a better opportunity, in a better position to have a long-term relationship with people. Because if you're a beat cop and you on the street, you a slave to the call system. Somebody calls 911, you got to go. You see somebody doing something, you got to go. And there's always these different things that maybe keep you from getting to know people. Whereas with the college cops, it's kind of disappointing that they don't engage more, because they have the perfect opportunity, right, to see you and build a relationship. And even if they don't necessarily do that, more than likely, they're not going to approach the situation the same way as a city cop, because even if I don't speak to you or I don't talk to you, I got a memory. And I've seen you on campus 15,000 times going to this classroom, so I know you belong here. And if there is an issue, we've already established that you belong here. And so it's not the same kind of interaction that you would have, out on the streets. It's a much smaller population, much more familiarity. And again, it's different rules. You've got a chancellor, you've got a provost, you've got people that control, pretty much the policies of what the campus police are going to be able to do. Whereas in the city, yeah, you got a police chief, you got a mayor, but we got 1,700 cops in Fort Worth, 1,700 plus probably. So you're not controlling all the different parts on different shifts and it's just a whole different animal. But to your point, yeah, they do approach things differently. Maybe more tempered. I don't know. How many college campus shootings have you guys had on TCC in the past 10, 15 years that was involving a police officer? You got to think about those types of things. And they carry a gun like we do every single day, but they're not shooting people and using force, right? So that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad problem to have.
So to touch back on what Dantrayl stated, he would like, them to help him feel, a little bit more safe. And then Hector mentioned, lack of visibility, lack of engagement. For both of you all, how can y'all say what you would like, or what would help a student, police, I guess building a rapport on campus? What does that look like?
I really don't know, honestly. And maybe that's a go ahead.
No, I'm saying, because you've already stated what you did not like,
right?
And what the things that you did not see. How could it make it better? What would you like to see to get better?
Just in the examples mentioned for myself, like I said, engage in conversation, be more approachable to students. I've seen them engage with staff and with faculty, so I get it, technically they're co-workers because they both work for the institution. So I understand that rapport there, but there's no effort. At least in my experiences, there was no effort. as far as building and establishing rapport. So just some effort, whether it be something that the institution like makes a mixer just to introduce us to all the campus police officers. If it's something to, you see a cop and say hi, you get a discount at the lunch. Something, I don't know. Something to make it engaging. Because as of now, in my experience, I don't see anybody, unless they know the cop personally, that they're even trying. Either way, from the student's perspective or from the police officer reaching out to help bridge that gap.
Okay, Danielle, what about you?
I would say just be like mindful, just the way I say they can make it better. They just make sure the student is safe. So if they don't feel safe, then they not gonna feel like what's the point of coming to school if I'm not safe here? They're gonna feel like what's the point of me trusting y'all if I'm not safe? They probably don't trust the city police already. So they like if I can't trust them, then I can't trust y'all.
Well, if I may, I'm curious, just Donnie, what makes you feel unsafe on campus?
I mean, me, I'm safe anyway, but I'm talking I'm like maybe they don't feel like they probably going through something. Then they're like, okay, let me just go to school. I feel safe at school. I can get my mind clear off of what's going on them at home. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, but answer your question, Hector, bro. I feel like what make people feel safe at school is like they probably feel like ain't no danger in school. But at college, I ain't gonna say high school because high school it's worse.
Colleges do too. It happen at colleges.
Yeah, like UTA and all that other they be having, so they just feel like they probably be safe at that college, at that school, because the officers they don't really make checkup like they don't.
Now, let me ask you this question, man. Like, if I was a police officer, man, how would you want me to interact or to interact with you, just personally, man? If I was a police officer on campus, like, how would you want me to interact with you?
When you okay, so let's say I see you in the hallway, you see me on Main Street, just say, hey, how you doing today? You doing good? It's just a 30-second, you ain't gotta make 4-minute talk with them. Just be like, how you doing today? You doing well, especially right now in this day and age when we got this COVID-19, people don't. Yeah.
Mr. Keys, what you got to add to it? How would you say, to build their rapport? I mean, I know you have your hands full with building a rapport with the community, right, but something as small as a campus community, what could you say would build that rapport between students and our campus police?
Man, so I'm a curious dude. Anytime I see you, I'm not trying to get in your business. I'm gonna speak to you. I'm gonna ask you how you doing. If I don't know you, I'm meeting you for the first time. I'm gonna ask you what you're going to school for. What are your interests? And it's not that I'm trying to get faith or whatever. I just want to know about you, because part of my job is knowing who you are and knowing if you're okay. And then if you know me, you trust me. Like I said, most people don't trust city cops. And I feel like the campus cops are in a great position, right, not just for themselves, but for the profession as a whole. I mean, cops are people. I ain't just saying you got some cops that I ain't gonna curse on your podcast, but you got some cops that they do the most and they do too much, right?
Brother,
so if you got a son or a nephew or a niece or a daughter or a cousin that's young, talk to these people, man. It ain't that hard. I mean, if I say, yo, what's up, young man? What you doing? What you going to school for? What's your aspirations? And you would say whatever, or you wouldn't. I mean, I've tried to engage people and they don't talk. And I get that too. You might not like police, but I'm still come at everybody the same way from a position of respect and concern. And if people do that, man, I'm telling you, the world will be so much better. You will have less uses of force. You will have, more trust in the communities, more trust on campus. All it takes, I guarantee, if those cops engaged you, Hector, Danye, and if they did nothing different, if they were polite and they spoke to you, you wouldn't think they were runner cops. You would think they cared about people, and you would feel safe. It's not so much as what they do, it's how they present themselves. And I think that's the problem. If they're not engaging you, you know what I'm saying, let you know that they see you outside, you playing a loud domino game, or you razzing or playing the dozens or whatever. They just see you when they're speaking to you. So that's what I would do. I'd just be more engaged in everybody, especially men of color.
Right. And I
Why do
agree
you
with
think that's lacking? I'm curious. I got a question, for Mr. Keys. Why do you think that's not the case on campus?
Because that's not the case in the streets, and you can't expect what's happening, you know what I'm saying, in the campus to be anything different than what's done in the streets. Law enforcement is a paramilitary, hierarchical, dominating ATM, which is ask, tell, make, do kind of a system. We got to get people that are like of a different breed, that want a different thing, that understand our communities. And they ain't all got to be black or brown, but it would be nice if they were representative, right? Because if you're playing dominoes and you loud, I play dominoes and I get loud. Big six to the, come on. But you got to have people that understand your culture. And if you ain't got that, and my God, the barbershop, we should get so many calls on the barbershop because somebody, ain't from the community, you think it's a murder going on up in there. They just having fun. So it's the culture, Hector. You know what I'm saying? It's the culture. You got a lot of people that haven't been around a black or a brown person until they put on the uniform. And that's an issue too. I don't know how TCC, like how the law enforcement demographics are represented on the police department. Is it reflective? Do you have blacks, women's, Latinos? Are those groups represented? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but that's a problem. And so you got some people that just, look, I'm a cop, I'm better than you, I got this badge, I got this gun, I got that mentality, and that's a problem. So there's a whole bunch of issues going on, but mainly it's a lack of engagement. They don't realize they work for you. That's the bottom line. They work for you.
Right. And I agree with you, man. I think that they miss out on a real opportunity to build that relationship with the students and with staff and everything else is on campus, because once you get to know the person and you can kind of see their behaviors, learn their behaviors, when a student acts out and does something crazy, you know what I'm saying? You could be like, all right, Danye, come on, man. Like, let me come over and holler at you real quick. You know what I'm saying? Versus being very argumentative and coming at them with force, man, because once you start doing that, other individuals see it, right? Perception. We always talk about it's that word, perception. And so other individuals see how you respond, and so they interpret that in their minds that that's how you always are. But like you said, if I know a relationship, if I have a relationship with you, then I know that you're just acting out of character and something is going on, whether that's on campus or inside your home and so forth and so on. And so I agree with you, brother. I think all three of you all hit the nail on the head, man. The relationship has to be built, and it doesn't have to be built in a very short window of time. I mean, it can be built over the entire semester, but really trying to get to know some of those students, because like I said, if I see Larry, man, as a police officer, he engaging with these students, he may not be engaged with me, but if I see that, I'm like, oh man, like he seemed pretty cool, he seemed pretty dope, you know what I'm saying? At least I know if I ever have a problem or situation or something like that, he seemed like the type of person I can go holler at. So the next question I want to ask the panelists is, as in the community, several concerns have surfaced regarding campus police. What actions being set up to mend student-police relations are, in my opinion, let me see how I want to word this. So if we're thinking about what we're seeing outside the community, right, what things are going on, and how can we bridge the gap by what we see the campus police and the city police? How can we bring them two together in a way that really orchestrates change? Because if we're talking about, well, the police cops, I mean, on campus cops are responding a certain way that is not necessarily very aggressive, how can we bring in the city police cops so that we can merge those conversations, have those conversations so individuals are understanding, okay, this is the way we approach things. And I know your situations may be a little more hostile and very, kind of on the whim cusp type of deal. But how can we bring and merge those two together, man, so that situations that have been happening for years and continue to happen on a daily basis aren't happening as much?
Wow. So that's a good question. I'll say it's hard because there are two different missions for city and campus police. I will say in some jurisdictions, what you've seen is where they didn't have a traditional campus police. They're contracting with cities to police the campuses. They've discontinued those contracts. They've said, no, we don't want y'all, on the campus responding the way you respond on the streets. And so they've hired their own police officers to police, that demographic. I mean, does Tarrant County police and Fort Worth police have the best relationship in terms of doing things and interoperable? No, we don't. Because at the end of the day, they are in the city of Fort Worth, but they maintain primary jurisdiction for the campus unless it's a homicide, it's a sexual assault. There's something that's beyond their level of expertise or beyond their resources to deal with. For the most part, they're going to deal with it. Now, from my understanding, they deal with primarily thefts, property damage, and assaults, right? They don't deal with anything that's beyond the norm. And so in that of itself, the cities are so strapped right now for resources. I mean, if you could look at the call log for Dallas or Fort Worth or Arlington, you would see a ton of calls holding, right? Where people have called for a burglary and they get upset because the police is 2 hours and they ain't got there yet. And so it's not, conducive, I guess, to the cities to try to police the campuses and they certainly don't want to take cue. I'll tell you, chiefs in general have this, I don't say, but they got,
you got an ego.
Hey, just say it, brother. Come on, we real right now.
I mean, some chiefs got egos, and they definitely don't want to reach out to a smaller agency or to a campus and look, y'all haven't shot anybody in the past 15 years. What can we do to be more like you? They don't want to do that. They're gonna say it's different missions, different violent people, but there should be more city cops that are invited to the campuses, maybe through the college cops have had that relationship to engage. Because I know a couple of college cops, I'm telling you, they cool brothers. They ain't gonna bust you upside your head. They're not gonna harass you. They real, they good, they down to earth. It's unfortunate that either you haven't met them or they don't work on your campus or they've not made themselves available to you. I know some good brothers that work for the college, damn good brothers, seriously. And so, but like we're having this conversation now, maybe you need somebody to meet somebody. Hey, this dude, this is a good dude. I mean, y'all box? I don't play ball. I don't play ball. I used to box back in the day. It's my thing. I like. I'm old now. I ain't boxing now. But back in the day, I'll throw some hands, right? Kids think because you're police, you ain't got no hands. Like, get out of here, boy. I got some hands. Right. You got some hands. But you got to find a common interest, right? And then connect the person on that level. And if you ain't doing that, again, there's something wrong. So
it's funny that you say that because my bad, Hector. You had something to say, bro?
Yeah, I actually had in reference to the boxing aspect. So I'm pretty familiar with that community. I actually used to service that community. I used to make custom mouth guards. I used to run a business here locally. And I actually have a relationship with the coach that's out of Fort Worth Fab. So in reference to that, like there's that thing. The Fort Worth Police Department is, making an effort to reach out to that community, and they're funding that for these at-risk kids that want to come in there and throw hands, like you put it.
Yeah.
But where is that with the next generation of voters of us that are on campus? Where is that rapport? Where is that effort? Where are those resources?
So hey, maybe somebody on TCC should start a pile because it's not just boxing, it's baseball, it's football, it's basketball, it's other things, even beyond sports. And again, if you get in a ring with somebody and you coaching that person, and when you throwing hands, you ain't got no rank or no badge, they It's just you in the ring, you know. That's you and your skill set, and that go and I respect boxers, you know, because I done got lumped up a few times, you know. But you gotta have that relationship, right? And if you're a young man and you lump me up, look, no beef. Like you said, when you're on the court, somebody said they filed the police. Okay?
Hey,
I get it.
I was coming up diving ball head first.
You know, but you got to have those outreach programs, and it should be not on the backs of the students, but on the backs of the police to reach out and make those relationships. Because at the end of the day, we get paid to do what we do. Y'all don't get paid to do what y'all do. So it's on us to establish that relationship.
Yeah, and if I just a follow-up question. Sorry if I'm running my mouth too much today, but it's a real question. So, like you're saying, it's on the responsibility of the officer, it's on the responsibility of the jurisdiction and the chief. How come there's no effort for us to view y'all as humans rather than police officers? Because all we see is blue. We don't see if you're a black dude, we don't see if you're a white dude, we don't see if you're a Hispanic dude. All we see is that uniform, all we see is that strap, and all we see is how that gang, for lack of a better term, is treated us. So how do we as the community view y'all as humans? How do we humanize y'all when all we've seen y'all is a force?
Man, I'm gonna say it and I'm gonna say it again. I tell people, if the first time you see somebody is when you're putting handcuffs on them or you're trying to enforce the law, you've already lost, because even in a city like Fort Worth or Dallas, only about 6 to 7% of what we do is actually law enforcement. Most of what we do, and cops want to talk about this, is social services. It's going to people's houses that, you know, they can't get along with their spouse, or it's a loud music complaint, or somebody in the grass, or some crazy like that. But most stuff's not even law enforcement. If you use those opportunities when you get in your car for your donut or whatever, riding around, to meet somebody and talk to somebody and say, look, my name's such and such. But cops don't do that. And it's called community policing. And we got a pretty good reputation in Fort Worth for doing it, but we've also got a reputation for doing other things. And I tell people, I call it like the 9-to-1 ratio. I can do 9 great things. If I do one bad thing to you, Hector, all those 9 things, it goes out the window. You go say, man, Vance Keys didn't speak to me. He mean mugged me. He did this or whatever. You can be like, damn, Vance Keys. So you have to have that built-in equity. But like Dr. Smith said, it's a long term. It's not an overnight kind of situation. My brother here, Larry, been doing wrong by the police, and he ain't never gonna forget that. He got 15 good interactions. He's gonna remember the time the cop followed me to my car and he didn't think I was a student, and that's gonna stick with him. And we already behind the curve, man. We like policing, not to get into that nonsense, but slave patrol is where it came from, and I'll be the first to say it. You know what? No, we came from slave patrol, capturing slaves and return the property back to the master. That's you gotta get past that.
Speak the truth to him, then.
But it's a long road. And me being, you ain't gonna say, man, I've been called Uncle Tom, Oreo, Cello. I ain't sold nobody. I mean, I'm one of the most, but I get it, and I get where it comes from. You know what I'm saying? So I don't get mad because you don't know me. All you know is this uniform. And I'm trying to change your perception of that uniform based on our interaction. If I do it, great. If I don't, I'm gonna keep trying until I do. I want to try to reach somebody that, you know, let them know. It's not about me, it's about you. You know, but a lot of times it takes one cop, man. You get one cop, you know, a lot of cops, they talk crazy to you, and that's can color your perception. I can't stand cops. And sometimes I see stuff on the news, I'm like, damn, I can't stand cops. And that moment, it's making it hard for everybody.
It's funny that you say that about building rapport. We used to have a student on our campus that had some medical issues, and she had one in our center, and we called the police, and wanted them to bring the paramedics. And the officer that responded was very, very tacky, and like I pulled her to the side to have a conversation with her. Very tacky, and I was like, we have students here that's trying to help this student, and for you to come at our students upon your arrival, like that's just not how you do things. And she's no longer here, but what I will say is her captain reached out to me and was like, I hear you have an issue. Let's have a conversation about it. And now he's one of our mentors. He's like one of the only white males that's a mentor. He comes to our events and everything. So it speaks volumes of who he is and the bridge that he's trying to mend, because he didn't have to do that. So I applaud him for making the steps that you're saying that needs to be made. But that kind of interaction in my history is very, very like seeing a green moon.
Larry, real quickly, and you made me think of something, man. We have, I believe, we have some of our campus police actually joined us today, listening in, and so I thought I saw one of them come on. If you're still here with us, brother, man, please chime in, man, and give us your perspective on the perception and ways that we can really bridge this gap. Is he still on? Let me see. I thought I saw Jesse. Is he still here?
I see his name to the bottom, but I don't know if he's on.
Right.
But, hey, Larry, before you chime in really quick, I want to push back on what you said. The cop, that captain, you say he didn't have to do that? He absolutely had to do that. And you saying he didn't have to do that, that's what's wrong with law enforcement. We have low expectations of what it is
and I
supposed to do for us.
Yeah.
Cop, he's absolutely supposed to reach out to you and correct the poor behavior of one of his officers. He gets paid to do that. Not to say that, not taking away from what he did, but that's his job. Right. He's supposed to do that. And if more people did that, then errant officers would be like the exception. They wouldn't be, you wouldn't think that a cop would just come up to you and be tacky when somebody's having a medical emergency because you know they were going to be dealt with. And so he should have did what he did. But that was expected, that was required, that was professional. That's what he gets paid to do.
Facts. I guess being that my interactions.
Exactly. You already thinking they are about to do whatever.
Yeah. Expected. But what's funny is the cop that I mentioned about the dominoes, I end up working with dude at an institution. Yeah. And when I was getting introduced to everybody, he was one of the first people that I met as I'm getting a tour around the campus at a previous institution. He walked up, he stuck his hand out. Hey man, welcome to the campus. How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I just looked at it like, what you want me to do with that? Like you want me to shake it? And so I explained to him why I wouldn't shake his hand, and what happened, how he treated me and how he treated my friends. And he immediately knew who I was, and his whole demeanor just kind of changed. And I was like, you're not a good dude. Like, I don't know what you're telling these people. I know you're not a good dude. It's sad that it has to happen like that. But again, as you said, the historical perspective of where police was birthed, speaks to why some of the interactions happen the way that they occur.
Man, we could, and I don't want to just sidetrack and keep going on and on and on, but you got to realize too, even if you have a well-meaning police officer, like the captain you talked about, and a well-meaning police force, it's just the structure of policing. People got to understand what you're dealing with, right? I mean, there's something called minority threat. We probably got time to get into it. There's going to be a greater police presence in a majority-minority city. All the time, always, regardless of crime. It is what it is. And if you got more police in the community, you're gonna get more detectives, you're gonna get more tickets, you're gonna get more arrests, you're gonna get more everything. It's just structural. And people can say it isn't, but it is. So.
Right. Well, shoot, we got 13 minutes left.
Do it.
Dantrayl, you got anything else?
Man, the last thing that I want to give is all of our presenters an opportunity to just shed some light with our listeners that are currently still on and those that are going to be watching this episode. Just kind of give some last minute closing remarks. And then I got a couple of things that I want to share before we end the podcast.
Danielle, we'll start with you. You have anything you want to share before we close it out?
One, thank you for having me on the podcast. And two, I just want the campus police officers I just want them to know, like, some of us, we don't trust the city police officers. I could say that though, because I don't, because I see what they do You got some out there that's really helpful. Then you got some that they just want a paycheck. They don't care about that person that person safe, or you know what I'm saying. Like I just want the Capitol police officers to make us feel safe at school. Well, like I said, I'm safe everywhere I go with just other students. Like my peers, I want my peers to be safe. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah, we know why you safe. Yeah.
Hector.
Like Daniel said, I definitely want to first and foremost say I'm appreciative of the invitation. I'm flattered by it, and I appreciate the platform and y'all lending it to me to help shed my perspective. As far as my interactions and just my view of police officers, it's one that has a lot of chapters because I've always had to be a chameleon, to be real. Like, I've grown up in the hood. I've gone to a majority Caucasian school. I'm Hispanic, so I've definitely seen how some people are treated in a good way and some people are treated in a great way. And I've definitely seen my knuckleheads run their mouth at the wrong cop. Like, I'm just gonna be real. And I'm thankful for this to have the dialogue with Vance, and I'm thankful for the contact I have at Fort Worth Pow, because that's allowed me to humanize some. And I'll just be honest with everything that's happened with the rise of everybody having a camera on their phone and the fact that we can share what's going on as it's happening, and the fact that I'm dating and Lord willing and wanting to marry a mixed woman. I'm scared to have a child. I'm genuinely fearful of having a mixed baby in this world, because all it's going to take is him walking down the street or her walking down the street with their hood on like Trayvon. And that hurts my heart. And I'm fearful of it because my older brother just had his first daughter. And congratulating him, being straight up and honest with him and telling him I'm scared of that.
Right.
Because of the way my child might look.
Yeah.
And the way my child might be treated. So I'm thankful that we're getting platforms and we're bringing people together and we're breaking barriers and we're breaking through walls. But I know we got a long way to go. And I know I'm a long way from feeling safe in this world and losing those uniforms. That's my piece.
Yeah. I appreciate that, brother.
No doubt.
Mr. Keys.
All right, so we know, it's not a doubt, it's not a question. Different people are policed differently in this nation. Bottom line, end of story. If you black or you brown, you're not going to get the same level of service all the time as if you were not. That is just the reality of this nation. Be upright, be upstanding, one of the most important things you can do, and it does not guarantee that you won't be violated. But one of the most important things that you can do is educate yourself and know your rights. I've met so many people that tell me they know their rights. When I start talking to them, you don't know your rights. Know your rights. Because at the end of the day, if you know your rights, it doesn't mean you won't be violated, but maybe it means that you'll get some restorative justice. Maybe it means, you can restore your dignity. You can get some accountability. Know your rights. Be safe. I mean, respect yourself. Respect other people. No doubt. Know your rights. Always educate yourself. Always try to better yourself. Don't let anybody take you out of you. Whether that's the police, whether that's a friend, whatever. Be true to who you are.
Man, appreciate you all's words, Brother Keys. I definitely agree with you, man, that we have to know our rights, but we need individuals like you to come to campuses, to come speak to students and teach them what those rights are. I think we tell it's like we tell all these students, go find a mentor. If you get a mentor, you'll be successful. But it's like, okay, well, how do I go find a mentor? So how do I go? Where do I go to find the rights? And so that kind of leads into next week's podcast, and Brother Keys, if you could listen in, some of y'all
I
listen
will,
in.
no doubt. I will.
We're going to talk about. We're definitely going to be talking about police reform and what does that look like, and how individuals can learn and know what their rights are. And so the brother and other guests that we have coming on for next week is going to be super dope as we talk about police reform and really trying to, how do we move the needle forward, right? And so Hector, man, as a father of two boys, I get you, and that fear factor, man, of worrying about them once they leave the house, man, it's tough. It's tough. And Danya, you know, having a daughter for yourself, man, it's one of those reality checks every day.
Yeah, it's true. I'm just scared. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel coming from Hector. I just don't want my daughter to be raised in the wrong environment. I want everything go well and good for her, because I don't want her to just. That's my fear. She just getting hurt or killed by the police of her skin or her color. I don't that, because I've seen that. I've seen that happen. Like I don't want that. I don't want that for my little daughter.
Well, we appreciate y'all all three for being on. I appreciate you guys for coming forth and having this conversation. Mr. Keys, definitely appreciate you for chiming in and, you know, giving your input from the, you know, the side that most people are not even bold enough to, you know, have those conversations about. So greatly appreciate you for that. Dr. Smith, what you got for us, man?
All right, man, this quote comes from Martin O'Malley, and he states, "Let's talk about policing and public safety. Let's debate what works and what does not. We must abandon practices that do not work and do more of the things that actually do work to save lives."
Facts. Well, again, fellas, we greatly appreciate y'all. I guess appreciate you being on today, sharing this moment with us on your ride home, or if you already dipped out of work early and you at the house, or if you're still at the job, wherever that may be, you know, we appreciate your company. Tune in for us next week. Excited about next week. And again, thank y'all. Have a great Monday.
You too.
Y'all the ones. People see that and all they try to do is eat off you. You know what I'm saying? They try to feed off your shit and feed off your vibe and shit. But you know, you already know the vibes, bro. You know how we coming, man. That's why we gonna stay thorough. We gonna stay solid. We gonna make sure we keep that protection for us.
We bout to blow.